Good morning. Today we would like to discuss computation of annual value in different cases. In our previous classes, we are discussed how to calculate gross annual value and scheme of computation also. So today we will discuss different cases or probable cases for your exam. First one, that is computation of income from self-occupied house. We have different categories: self-occupied house, let out house. Let out house can be divided again into two: partly let out, fully let out. So we will discuss in our classes these cases in detail. First one, computation of income from self-occupied houses. When the house is self-occupied, what will be the annual value? Please listen carefully. First one, that is gross annual value. When the house is self-occupied, gross annual value will be nil. Okay, that is for two for any two houses. Okay, then from this gross annual value, we have deduction under section 23. In case of self-occupied house, there is no deduction, only because of there is no gross annual value, then deduction is also nil. So the annual value will be nil. Clear? Annual value will be nil. So when the house is self-occupied, annual value will be nil. So even if nil, you have to follow this procedure: gross annual value nil, deduction nil, annual value nil. Then one more deductions we have, that is a deduction under section 24, that is standard deduction. Standard deduction, 30% of annual value. When the annual value is nil, there is no standard deduction. Okay. Then one more deduction we have, that is interest on capital. That is allowable deduction, interest on capital, even though it is a self-occupied house. That is maximum rupees 30,000 for a loan taken before 1st April 1999, and also for the loan taken for the repairing of the house. Clear? Then one more condition: maximum 2 lakh rupees allowable or can be claimed as this interest on loan if the loan is taken on or after 1st April 1999 to purchase or construct the house. That you have to bear in mind. So when the house is self-occupied, gross annual value nil, deduction nil, annual value nil, standard deduction nil. But interest on borrowed capital can be claimed as a deduction even though it is self-occupied house. But there is a condition: we have to take into consideration the date of loan. If the loan is taken before 1999, maximum up to 30,000. If it is after 1st April 1999, we can claim maximum up to 2 lakh rupees. Clear? The next, gross annual value when house property is let out and was vacant during the whole or part of the year. That is another situation. When gross annual value, once again I will repeat: gross annual value when house property is let out and was vacant during the whole or part of the year. So if the house property is let out and is vacant for the full year, gross annual value will be nil, only because of there is no rent, no actual rent, no real rent, nothing we have. So gross annual value will be nil. If the house property is let out and was vacant during any part of the year, please listen, GAV or gross annual value will be calculated by deducting rent for the vacancy periods. Okay, gross annual value. How to calculate gross annual value? That you have to bear in mind: expected rent, municipal rent, fire rent, etc., etc., etc. So gross annual value will be calculated by deducting rent for the vacancy periods. If the actual rent received or receivable for the let out period is less than the expected rent owing to such vacancy, the actual rent received or receivable will be the gross annual value. That's all about when the house property is let out and was vacant during the whole or part of the previous year. The next, third case, that is gross annual value of the house property self-occupied and partly let out. That is, a house is let out, a part of the partly let out and partly self-occupied. That is the third case. In such a situations, if units are inseparable, two things that you have to remember here. If the units are inseparable, it is considered as one house and no benefit of self-occupied is allowed. Okay, when the house is when the units are separable, each unit or part is to be treated as separate house and benefits thereon is provided. Okay, so if it is separable, each unit is can be considered as a separate unit, and it is not separable, no benefit of self occupation is allowed. Okay, if the house property is let out for the part of the year, that is another case, part of the year, and is used for self occupation for the other part of the year, no benefit of self occupancy is allowed. So these are all the points related to the this case. Okay, then next last one, that is gross annual value of the deemed to be let out houses. If an assessee is fortunate enough to own more than two house property using all of them for self occupation, in such case only two houses of his choice is treated as self occupation, that we have discussed in our previous classes, and all other houses will be considered as deemed let outs. Okay, in such cases, two houses having the highest annual value can be taken as the self-occupied. The valuation of house deemed to be let out is similar to that of let out houses. In the case of houses deemed to be let out, there is no maximum limit for interest deductible on borrowed capital. That's all about the calculation of gross annual value in different cases. Okay, that's all about the theoretical portion of this module. Then let us discuss problem in practical through Google Meet. By these words, let us conclude our class. Okay, thank you.